All right. Once again, a warm welcome to everyone to today's session, SGTech IHL Roadshow, a glance at cybersecurity landscape organized by SGTech, Nanyang Polytechnic, Nyan Polytechnic, and Singapore Polytechnic. I am Christine from SGTech, and I will be your MC for the day. Do note that there is a lucky draw during the webinar, and you will stand a chance to win an original Apple Beats wireless headphone. So please do stay with us to the end. Special thanks to our sponsor, Napoleon Solutions Private Limited. Just some quick housekeeping before we commence the program proper. This session will be recorded for archival and marketing purposes. SGTech may use some of the images or videos in its print publication, digital platforms, and marketing channels. Recording will be made available post-webinar on SGTech website. You may send in any questions via the Q&A feature at the bottom of the browser, and we will address it under the last segment, Q&A segment. Today, we have an amazing lineup of speakers. Besides getting insights from the industry insiders on the future cybersecurity job market and what employers will look for in an IT talent, there will be sharing of perspective on choosing cybersecurity career and tips on how to get hired for a job in cybersecurity. And also there will be sharing of internship experience too. Without further ado, I'd like to invite Mr. Dutch Ng, the chairman of Cybersecurity chapter, to address the audience. Dutch, over to you, please.
Thank you, Christine. Hi, everyone. I think long time no see. I believe in 2019, I did a few round of this roadshow with you guys. I believe since in 2019, probably you're in the year 1, and now probably in the year 3. Hold on, let me put on my slide. So today we have more than 200 of us, students right now. I think it's online. It's a great time to see you. I'm Dutch, the chairman of SGTech Cybersecurity chapter. I think before COVID-19, we used to have face-to-face events in various institutions to share and with students like you on the cybersecurity landscape. There are many physical interactions that I miss the most. A lot of students coming after this webinar come down to the theater rate, and then we share a lot of sharing. But today is more one way right now, and try to catch up as much as possible. With COVID-19, a new way of doing things and surface such as conducting events online, as what we are today, increase in online shopping, online serving, and also e-learning like HBL. With high number of online activities, right, we could imagine that tons of data has been captured and stored on various platform data server. Recently, right, there were various cyber attack cases happening, and this is serious. I've extracted a few news, such as Spotify, I believe the music streaming platform. I believe some of you have also used this service to listen and for the latest music you have. Do you know that Spotify have attacked twice within 3 months time span? Twice, within 3 months, 2 times. Some of them might be experienced with requests by Spotify to reset your password. That be careful. And one of the biggest news last year for the SolarWinds cyber attack is up in the news everywhere. The attack of the supply chain to reach the target server means it attacked SolarWinds, and then these SolarWinds are used by the target company, and they launch an attack. Closest to us, we have a phishing scam on Singtel, an online e-commerce company. Lazada Redmart account has been compromised issue as well. Some news mentioned in my previous slide, right, about Singtel, Spotify, is reflect the current global cybersecurity concern. And these, I just pull out, these are the main 5 points. Point of sale attack, such online shopping website, they separate from the front and the back end server, means that the website design and the payment functions are from a different vendors or different supplier. And supply chain attack, as SolarWinds, attack less secure component of the system, aiming at accessing the stealing confidential information or attack other part of the system. Mostly these are related to the third-party service provider with access to the organization data. I believe data breaches, mobile attack as malware. Just be careful, don't download any unfamiliar software or apps in your mobile phone. And also phishing. Phishing is one of very, very common, especially the emails. So these are not just terminologies. Real cases are happening around us. So with all these we gather, right, as activity going on, is an estimate of the global losses of in 2020 due to this cybercrime is nearly USD 1 trillion. Imagine 1 trillion is 1,000 billion and 1 billion is 1,000 million. That's a lot of money. So with so much organization being attacked, loss of money, and then it's make technology hot, right? You guys is on the right page. So all of you in these IT courses, probably in year 1, year 2, and year 3 years there. And this is the best opportunity, high demand, job is pay well, and also a lot of safeguarding the society as part of our responsibility as well. So is it good? Of course. I was reading newspaper about last 2 weeks, right? I think this piece of news was published in 4th of I think May this year. You can see that one of the industry, just only financial sector, we don't talk about others first, and we create new jobs of sizable percentage in looking for tech talent. Nearly 6,500 new jobs is created just because of all these. Okay, so there's a lot of opportunity out there that you can seek for. And what are those, right? So I just extract out that some of the top 5 skills that company is looking for talent, which include of information security, network security, cloud security, web security, and security architecture. So these are the 5 areas you can focus on, which right now is very hot on the topic, that those companies are aiming for it. Then what is good for me? A lot of job. How is the skill set? What is this salary pay like? I think everybody is interested about it. So I just pulled out some of the research that the salary range between tech people that are looking good. The great opportunity out there for you all. Beside these salary range, you can see there's cybersecurity, some big data, and then AI. They're really well paid on this pay scale. So I just want to just do a quick opening on this area. And before I just want to end my speech, right, allow me to share about SGTech. So this event and this webinar is SGTech is the one that organizing it with the 3 schools, first time ever. The 3 important polytechnics that we gathered together on this webinar. So allow me to share a little bit of SGTech. Okay, SGTech is a premium trade association. It's a non-profit organization, and you can see the lineup of all the speakers here in the company. I have myself, Brandon, and also Glenn, and this Jonathan. They are all the CEO of the company, and really they make their time, contribute their own time. There's no profit at all, and they come in and really want to share to let you understand what is this cyber industry, security industry is happening today. So it's a trade association we set up to represent and champion the interests of the tech industry in Singapore. Within the rapid evolving technology landscape, SGTech strives to create an ecosystem that anticipates trend and develop sustainable initiatives to strengthen and grow the industry. Today, we have about more than 1,000 members, all these companies, ranging from innovative setups, SME, and also big enterprises and MNC, even the Dell, Microsoft, Google, Facebook are part of these members. So as a tech industry representative like SGTech, we constantly engage with government agency on industrial concern. What are the concerns today? Is it manpower concern? Is it talent concern? Is it job concern? And we work with them on the new initiative. We also exist to create market opportunity for companies as well, to share them on the latest trend and changes. So people are asking me, wow, technology, IT is very wide, it's a very wide spectrum. So yeah, Indeed, we coordinate to needs of the subsector within the ICT space. We have formed industry chapter and committees to support strategic and emerging sector. We have classified our chapter into tech verticals and non-tech horizontal. Under the tech verticals, we have AI and high-performance computing. We have cloud and data, cybersecurity chapter, which is all we are today in. And for non-tech horizontal, we have a digital transformation chapter, Singapore enterprise, and smart nation. So these are the chapters who governs the individual needs and the interests for those companies who join SGTech. So, and of course, we always help companies to build talent pipeline. This is what I just mentioned to you, put our time together to create all these deck of slides to share with you, all these students here, to build a pipeline. What is the next generation? What type of skill we need? Great opportunity out there. We have this Tech Talent Portal, which all of you can also sign up to. We offer the Tech Talent and the structured internship program as available platform for students or graduates to tap on. Just visit techtalent.sg for more information. I come to the end of my presentation. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Napoleon for sponsoring this lucky draw, the Apple Beat Wireless headphone. So guys, just open up your eyes, attentive to it, to all these CEOs later on, all the speakers that are going to share with you what is the trend, what is the outcome, what are the opportunity, what are the tech that required. Guys, you are really in the right space and the right time. So thank you and enjoy your session. Christine, I hand over to you.
Thank you, Dutch. Our first speaker for today is Mr. Braven Tan, who is the Managing Director of Wyson International, a cybersecurity competency development company based in Singapore. He carries with him 20 years of experience in IT training and education solutions to enterprises, professionals, and students in the APAC. Wyson took up the exclusive distributorship for EC Council and the cybersecurity certification courses since 2015, as Braven saw the importance of cybersecurity skills and the opportunity a globally recognized certification will bring to the people in the region. Over to you, please, Braven.
Thank you very much, Christine, for your introductions. A very good afternoon, Chairman, committee member, students, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great pleasure to be given this opportunity to share with our students my experience, which I have gained from my many interactions with various stakeholders in the region, about the tremendous opportunity in the cybersecurity industry and what is the driving force behind this growth. Thus, the title of my presentations today, Continuous Growth of Cybersecurity, the Inevitable. Dutch would have shared a little bit into the current threat landscape of cybersecurity. But what I would like to do is to encapsulate all these and hopefully answer a few very critical but very simple questions that you may have in your mind. And that will lead me to the next slide. So what I'd like to do to start my presentations with 3 leading questions. You may already have this question in your mind, or some may have started thinking about it. But sharing this question with you first will help you understand the presentation better, as you will find the answers from here. The first question is there any job in cybersecurity? The second question, so if there's any jobs, or if there's some jobs here in cybersecurity industry, are they well paying? And of course, if the first 2 answers satisfies you, you may look at how do I prepare myself better for the job. So these are the 3 questions. I hope you could get a very clear answer by the end of presentations. And then let me continue by sharing my slides on the first articles here. These articles shared that this tech field, cybersecurity, has an astonishing 0% unemployment rate. Think about that. Essentially, by sharing these slides, I would probably have done 50% of my presentations. But I believe what we really like to know is why. What drives this to happen? Because that answer would help you decide your future a lot better. That is, staying in cybersecurity or going into cybersecurity, is it a wise choice for now, for near future, or for a very, very long future to come? So let me move on to the next article. By IBM, it says that the demand for cybersecurity professional is outstripping the supply of skilled worker. And there again, this supported the first articles that I shared, that why there is 0% unemployment rate in this industry. So again, that triggered another set of thinking that is, okay, why is there such a high demand? What fueled this high demand? What drives the continuous growth of cybersecurity? And why is this market projected to grow from the current 166 billion into probably more than 366 billion in the next 7 years to come by? That's tremendous speed in growth, even for the global. So let us move on to a few other articles that helps us to understand this. So from Dutch earlier presentation, he gave a very quick snapshot of some of the recent breaches that happened across the world. But let me go in a little bit more details to tell you what is the significance about each and every one of these breaches. All right, then probably you get a better understanding. So one of the recent one is talking about a cyber attack that forces the shutdown of one of US largest gas pipeline. So essentially, this actually shut down more than 5,500 miles of pipelines that carries about 45% of their East Coast fuel supplies. And what happened after that shutdown? Almost the entire East Coast of US are facing a potential of electricity shutdown. So that is very critical. But of course, this is not the first case of the world, but this happened to be one of the largest of such in US just very recently, because the last that similar things happened was some couple of years back in Northern Europe. One of the country during one of the coldest seasons in December got their electricity shut down. And because of that, many people are suffering the tremendous cold. So luckily this time, it did not happen during the cold weather. But nonetheless, the authority has no choice. As much as they are unwilling to do that, they have to pay the hacker nearly $5 million in ransom. What does that tell you? That tells you they are really being held by the neck. They have no choice. As much as the FBI would always advise never to pay ransom to hacker, they have no choice. They just have to do it. All right. Otherwise, the nation will suffer. And of course, as what Dutch has also pointed out, a couple of incidents that closer to us in Singapore and in the region, we are not being spared of such attacks as well. Recently, about the Singtel attack, more than 129,000 of Singtel's customer data and more than 23 enterprises of theirs leaked in the recent cyber breach. So it just keep coming, right? Cyber attack cost hospital millions during COVID-19. And what happened? As a subsequence of that breach, the hospital group actually has a revenue drop because the patient were worried. They just have to move out of the hospital. New patients do not want to approach the hospital because they are concerned that their medical records get leaked out, and that could cause a lot of damages. And of course, some of them can be easily fatal. And just to recover the system, they incurred very high expenses to restore the operating system. At the end, they lost almost $70 million. But of course, this keep counting. It will not end there. You will not be able to account for the amount of intangible losses the hospital will get in the years to come by. So this is the kind of things that faces the world right now. And of course, governments, telco, hospital, they are not alone. Among all others, we have Garmin, all right? The one who provide us with tons of GPS equipment supports, including our watches that provides you with tons of measurements of what you do, where you go, how you're doing, how frequent you're doing, and things like that. So their GPS server gets shut down, get locked up by ransomware also. And likewise, they have to pay millions of dollars in ransom just to make the business goes again. And there again, another article, a travel giant, CWT, who has paid $4.5 million ransom. In fact, their exchange in Texas with the ransom perpetrator actually gets shared on the net as well, that it almost act like a tech support to them. It just says that, as long as you pay within 24 hours, we're agreeable with the amount of $4.5 million ransom. Otherwise, nothing guarantees that this will not go up further. So that's the world that we are facing right now, right? By the enterprise, by the governments of the world, and of course, every nations and citizens are worried. So this is such rampant that is really ruining lives across the world. And a global coalition of technology companies involving Microsoft, Amazon, and the FBI, as well as the UK National Crime Agency, they have joined force into a task force called the Ransomware Task Force. And they actually send in a calling for aggressive and urgent actions by the government. So just a record, the UK National Cybersecurity Centre, also a member of the Ransomware Task Force, say that they have recently handled more than 3 times as many ransomware incidents in 2020 comparing to the previous year. So in 2020, they see 3 times as many ransomware incidents being reported. That is the growth that we're looking at. And this forces a recent executive order from Biden to boost cybersecurity in the United States. You're talking about a country where the government already committed a $19 billion bill into dealing with cybersecurity a year. That's a lot of money, right? Like what Dutch has mentioned earlier. And still, they are being forced into it because they are just not able, and they're not able to accept the current status quo of what they are doing right now. It's just not good enough, and it's just not sufficient to deal with the ongoing incident. So again, of course, US is not alone in this. Singapore also have to work on towards handling its own challenges facing this world in the cyber threats. And across Singapore, the articles that I'm showing here shows that there is a need of 1.2 million workers to be trained digitally. And that tells you that as a nation, we are really moving towards more digitization. And that means a lot, which means the enterprise, the governments, the people are all leveraging more and more on technology, because that is how it can keep the nations going and keep us competitive in the world, isn't it? But nonetheless, that also poses and creates a different set of byproduct, which is cyber threats. So at the same time, the businesses are also likely to face acute talent shortages by 2025 in data related, in cloud, in cybersecurity skill set. So there again, another article supporting the growth in demand for a cybersecurity talent, not only in the world, but also back home in Singapore. And again, you may say, so who are hiring? Is it just companies that deal with cyber threats? Is it just government? In fact, it's everywhere. Certainly led by the government, led by the large enterprises, and of course, company that deals with IT support, IT integrations, IT services, right? Including the consulting firms and all our university and colleges and schools and polytechnics across the islands, they all need to hire for two purposes. From the university and colleges, of course, they need to hire not only talents in managing their own IT infrastructure safeties, they also need to hire talents to enlarge their faculty pool in training our next generations of IT professionals, that is you, right? For the very reason why you're here today. And of course, with all this happening in the world, it is not surprising that we see articles like this from Forbes magazine. The cybersecurity talent gap is an industry crisis. So that sums up all and give you a very clear and definitive answer. That is, if you ask if there is going to be any job in cybersecurity, it is a big clear yes. All right, there's no doubt about it. And let me quickly move on. All right, that is, if there is job, how well am I going to get paid? Is it going to be short term? That you probably have an idea by now, because the threats is just not going to stop, right? So am I going to get much better paid as compared to my other friends that is taking care, doing their course in other faculties? Most probably, yes. All right. And of course, nonetheless, the underlying part is you still have to work hard and do what you're supposed to do. That is, to do well in your coursework, right? But let me just share with you, if you are doing well in the coursework, what are the kind of opportunity that you'll be given as you graduate in a couple of years' time, or maybe some of you maybe next year. So just look at these particular articles from Homeland Security, United States. So it says that for cybersecurity job, like cybersecurity in the IT field, for example, generally it earns salaries that is at least 50% higher than many other average private sector job. So this is from the Homeland Security itself. How about China? Let's take some country that is nearer to us. China's hottest job is cyber bodyguard. So of course they call it cyber bodyguard, but to us it's just cyber professional, right? Oh, I shouldn't use the word just. It's basically cyber professional. So to protect company from hacker, and such cyber job essentially gets pays increment between 25 to 35%, which is averagely 5% higher than all other IT field jobs, which as a whole, IT field job is already one of the better paid across many growing industry. And coming back even closer to Singapore, Straits Times has shared also that cybersecurity equals to job security for Singapore graduates. So for those entering cybersecurity field, generally getting a salary, starting salary that are 10 to 15% higher than the peer in other faculties. So of course, all these are relative. Nonetheless, this tells you because of the demand they are driving in the market, naturally, they are looking for talent. And because talent is a critical shortages and is a crisis in the world, they have no choice but they got to pay more to attract people to come into this industry, right? So that drives up the salary. And of course, likewise in Malaysia, all right, specialized in security would easily see you a 20% pay bump. So there you go. Not only that, it is clear the world is just constantly growing in the needs of cybersecurity professional. That naturally creates the jobs opening, and that leads to better pay. And are you going to get good pay? Yes, certainly. So as I mentioned, if this is the first two questions you have, and the two yeses should satisfy your questions, and that's probably leads you on to the third questions. How do I prepare myself better for the job? So of course, you would say that is, well, as long as I do well in my studies, yes, certainly. What else? So what I would say is, number one, get yourself qualified. But by defining qualified, I like to go a little bit deeper. You may want to consider not only just a good academic qualification, which is what all of you are doing right now with a poly, but you may want to consider also an industrial recognized professional certifications. So I'll explain a little bit more in my next couple of slides, but the key is, in short, academic qualifications give you the broad understanding and the skill set, and it prepare you with a strong foundations into the industry. But as you come into industry, you need to start performing well in your job. And each of these cybersecurity job has very specific and well-defined job role. So beside knowing how does the whole industry works, what's going in and out of the industry, and having a good foundation of everything about cybersecurity, what give you the immediate skill set to kickstart your job role, and therefore give your employer the confidence in hiring you, because knowing that you will most probably know how to start doing your job right on set. That professional certification give you a good start on that. But nonetheless, the next advice I would like to give to you is continue to practice your cybersecurity skills. Essentially, in cybersecurity, when we talk about cybersecurity skill and knowledge, this is almost like our martial arts, our Chinese Kung Fu, you know. It's not good enough to just know your strokes. It's just not good enough to just know the rules of the game. How do you deal with your opponent? You need to really go on stage, start the sparring, try it out, get beaten, and try it again. All right, but this time better. So the practice is important, right? And just to share one article to support what I've said earlier regarding to the certification part. This article says cybersecurity professionals with certification have significantly higher salary than those without. So this is, of course, an average across the world, and an article that gives you an idea of how generally the markets are being remunerated. But of course, this is not defined definitive. That doesn't mean that everyone with a certification will definitely be better. Remember what I said, you need to practice your skill set, because essentially how well you perform in your skills is probably how you're going to get your increment or better pay, right? Or being poached by even other competitors or company, right? So average salary here, it shows that it's across the world, whether you are in North America, Latin America, Europe, APAC, in average as well across the world. Generally, those holding a certifications apparently seems to be getting slightly higher pay than those without, right? And let me move on to give you 7 pointers or 7 reasons why cybersecurity certification are worthwhile. Number 1, so of course, among all other students who also holds a diploma in cybersecurity, or eventually going on to a degree study, holding a bachelor in IT, specializes in cybersecurity, or maybe even going further into master programs in cybersecurity, somehow that certification immediately helps you to have a differentiator, right? Yeah, not only I'm qualified, I'm also certified to perform a very dedicated role. For example, into certain specialization like penetration testing, into certain specialization like risk assessment, like forensic investigation in cyber, incident handler, for example. So these are some of the category of certification that can help give you an immediate differentiations when you apply for a job. Certification show a level of accomplishment and perseverance. So of course, I mean, it also shows to your employer or future employer that not only you go through what everyone would want to go through, like a standard academic learning, study, get yourself qualified, get yourself, awarded with a recognized qualifications from the polytechnic, from university, but you move on to continue upgrading yourself in a series of skill sets that would help you to perform your job better. So of course, all these gain confidence in your employer and gain you a better opportunity for an interview chances, right? A lot of employer place high value in them, in some of these certifications. So, well, like I mentioned, the certification teach you very specific skill set. So for instance, if that employer wanted to hire someone to do a particular role that needs certain skill set, and you come with that bundle of academic qualification plus certifications that certify you your capability in handling this kind of skill set. So of course, it really helps, right? And they value them because many of these certifications are already receiving many recognition across the world, both the governments as well as private sector, in accepting that, well, anyone who have certified themselves in this CERS somehow has been able to perform better in the role. So a certification can keep your employer on their toes. So of course, I mean, what you would like to do is to make yourself valuable, right? So to tell your employer, value me because I've proven myself. And not only that, I continue to practice, I continue to up skills, I'm doing better and better every day. You should be on your toes, you know, to make sure you reward me. Otherwise, well, there's a lot of other people that will treasure me, right? Not for you to be a ransom, for you to host ransom to your employer, but I mean, this is a true value of showing your perseverance in upskilling yourself, isn't it? And let's look at the next three reasons. The next one we have here is certification can be used as a negotiation for raise or promotion. All right, fine. I mean, we have gone through some of those. Everyone who does not have one wishes they did. So when you have it, you may think, well, I'm just one of those who has it. But look at the other side of the coin. How about those who don't have it? So you naturally being someone who they look forward to be, and in a way, you bundle yourself, your value, your credential, all right, in an all-rounded way better. So, like I mentioned, get yourself that academic qualification, get yourself some of those recognized certification, get yourself busy with your practice, and you could participate maybe even in some of those public sparring sessions where generally you call it the capture the flag or CTF activities, or any other cybersecurity events, conferences, participate in some of them, get yourself more acquainted with the ongoing in the market. So generally all these give you a more rounded and wholesome exposure to the cybersecurity world, as well as the kind of skill set and knowledge that an employer will value. So of course, employer often place more credible in certifications than just training. So essentially what we want to say is you could attend a lot of training, you could do a lot of learning, but the certification that usually being awarded after an exam, which is an assessment, that holds water better, right? Naturally. So these are the 7 reasons that shows you that why you will be better off, all right, putting in more effort in attaining some of these certifications on top of your academic qualification. So that give you that added advantage across and comparing to anyone else, all right, as your peer. So with this, it concludes my presentations. And of course, I would like to take questions in the later stage during the Q&A, as Dutch say. So for now, let me hand over back to Christine.
Thank you, Raven. Next up, we have Mr. Jonathan Hua, who is the CEO and co-founder of award-winning homegrown cybersecurity company, Insider Security. Jonathan has been doing cybersecurity for 14 years. He started his cybersecurity journey in the government before starting a profitable cybersecurity startup 6 years ago. Over to you, Jonathan.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Christine. A very good afternoon to our chapter chairman and to our fellow community members, and especially to you, the students who are going to embark on an exciting career in cybersecurity. So today I'm going to cover three main topics. One is that I'm going to share on my personal journey and from that, my perspective from my career in cybersecurity for the past 15 years. And then I will talk about trying to predict what the job in cybersecurity look like in the future, in the next 10 years or so. And lastly, I will talk about our perspective and to give some tips on how you can get hired on your first job in cybersecurity. Okay, so my story. So I wish that I could say that I started in school thinking that I would go into cybersecurity, and then eventually years later, that's where I landed up as a CEO of a local tech company in cybersecurity. But life doesn't work that way. So actually I studied electrical engineering. I graduated. I joined this DSO National Labs doing defense work for the government, quite a fair bit. And after a while, I got bored. And I was working on all the high-tech stuff in defense. But you know, in defense, because the life cycle of all the weapons and all the aircraft is like 20 years, 30 years, and 50 years, things like that. So things you don't get to see your work being implemented so fast. So I got bored and I want to do something else. And I didn't choose cybersecurity. So I kind of fall into cybersecurity by accident. So there was an opening in my company for information scientists. So I thought, hey, that's interesting. So I went for it. And then on my first day of job, my boss came and said, okay, great. Now you're working on cybersecurity. That's how I got started. Well, actually, I guess I was lucky because this is way back in 2007. So this is way before cybersecurity became hot. And even at the point in time, what people know about cybersecurity is just antivirus, and that's it, you know. And I think I was quite lucky because that's also where I managed in DSO. That's how I managed to actually learn my skills in cybersecurity and gain my expertise. So fast forward to around 2015, that's about 8 years later, I guess I became itchy again, and I thought I wanted to try to run a business. So I came out to start a startup in cybersecurity. And it has been quite a good journey. So the company is called Insider Security. We are a homegrown company doing products in cybersecurity. We're trying to solve the challenge that just now earlier Dutch mentioned about SolarWinds. Now, how attackers like SolarWinds, which is a supply chain attack, the attackers were able to compromise the network. And in this case, it actually affected the US government, Microsoft, and hundreds of other companies. And the thing about this attacker is that they were able to hide inside the network for months, 10 months, 12 months or so, and nobody knows about it. So essentially, we are building technology to detect these attackers much earlier. Right. Today, the company is award-winning. We have been fortunate enough to win awards and also featured in the news quite a fair bit. Right. So, I mean, this is one possible journey that for someone working in cybersecurity that you may actually embark. And actually, I do also hope that one day, some of you will actually go on to start your own companies in cybersecurity. Because I do hope to see that one day we can put Singapore on the roadmap for cybersecurity technology and cybersecurity products. You know, so today when I talk about cybersecurity, people are talking about US, Israel, you know, all these countries that somehow have a reputation for cybersecurity. But if you look at Singapore, actually we have I think they did some survey and they found that actually our secondary students score among the highest in math in the whole world. You know, so we do have the kind of talent and people needed to build world-class companies in cybersecurity. So hopefully in the future, you may be one of them. And definitely, we also want to see a more vibrant ecosystem for tech companies in cybersecurity. Okay, so let me talk about my experiences and my perspective from in my career. And of course, it's a limited experience because it's just 15 years in cybersecurity. But I thought it's valuable to share. Now, as you know, I came from a different field originally. I came from electrical engineering. Then I jumped into cybersecurity, right? And actually, after hearing the presentation by Brevian and Dutch, actually, I'm quite glad. They talk about how, like as Brevian mentioned, now there's 0% unemployment rate in this sector. Wow, that's great. I mean, I will not be out of job. That's great news. Yeah. And what the market is be what $400 billion in 7 years time? Yeah, yes, I'm doing the right thing. Yeah. So okay, the first thing I want to share is that so even though how we talk about actually there's a high demand in cybersecurity today, and as shared earlier, actually the pay is pretty good as well. Don't just go in for the money. I think this is actually pretty important. Now, of course, so even though I'm in the cybersecurity field for so many years, right? And I think that I do believe that this market will still be very important for years to come. But the thing is that no one will actually ever know what's going to happen tomorrow, right? So let me share my experiences. And I think just about when you guys are maybe still a baby, that's around 2000, right? Or even before you're born. So at the point of time, actually, there was this .com big thing. And everyone is talking about, oh, must go and study computer science, or big thing, going to earn lots of money and things like that. So that's what people did. But shortly after, around 2001, 2002, there was a .com burst. They call it .com burst. Basically, a lot of tech companies fail and things like that. And I think a lot of people who go in thinking that they're going to earn big bucks in software engineering, they were disappointed. Then fast forward, I think around 10 years, I think some of you may be aware of this. There was another big hype in biotechnology. Now, people say, "Oh, must go and study biotech." Wow, it's the next big thing. Biomedicine, all the bioengineering, all this kind of stuff. And guess what? And the government is also actively promoting this. But guess what? After a few years, somehow the hype didn't materialize. And the people who went on in the poly to study biomedical, or in the universities to study biotech, when they came out, some of them they have difficulty finding jobs. So the thing is this. Actually, I do believe that I do believe in this biotechnology hype. I do believe that this century will be the century of the biotechnology. Unfortunately, the thing is that normally for this kind of big structural changes in technology, it takes decades to run through. So while maybe 20, 30 years later, this will be true. But today, yeah, you may end up not being able to find a job 2 or 3 years later. So if you're thinking going to cybersecurity just for the money, no, I think money is important, but I think interest and passion is maybe the more important factor over here. And also, I mean, I share a bit more on this thing. So if you're also going just for the money, I think you will also find yourself being miserable in the end. So I mean, there are examples of, I think we all heard of cases where stories of people who went on to who studied law, perhaps, spent 4 or 5 years going through a rigorous law program, become very good, spend so much time. And then after they come out, work for a few years, then they burn out. They couldn't take it. Then they had to switch field to do something else, do art or something else. So that's the thing. Cybersecurity, like law, and maybe in the case of cybersecurity, it's a bit more fast-paced because you're always learning new things every year. So if you are not the kind of person who are interested in cybersecurity and you go into it just for the money, you may not be able to last for long. Let me talk about my second point, is that actually this field may not be everybody as well. So today, I think there are two, you may be able to classify cybersecurity in 2 main areas. One is offensive. So these are things like pen testers, trying to break things, stuff like that, to hack things. And the second area is defensive, doing things to build products, to build your defenses and things like that. So if you are going to the area of offensive, being a hacker, being an ethical hacker, or white hat, I think it takes a certain kind of character to do that. You must be able to think out of the box. it's not enough to just go through the school and learn all the techniques. You need to think creatively and do weird things, right? So this may not be for everybody. No. Now, even if you do defensive kind of things, which is actually what my company does, where we build products, build things, you also need to have some of this offensive mentality as well. So you probably want to ask yourself, is this something that that you like to do? Cybersecurity is something that requires constant learning. And the best way I can put it is that I think you should see it, if you choose as a career, you should see it as a kind of a hobby that you like, because it's a hobby that would require you to learn new things every year, every day. And that may be great for you, then you may like that. So that's great. But if you are the kind of person who just treat it as a job, I just want to get paid, I just want to just do enough and that's enough, you may not fit in that well. I want to say one thing about interest. Actually, interest is, I think, is really the key over here. So even let's say you do a job, it could be that your colleagues are smarter than you. But if you are really interested in that area, you would naturally put in more effort and hard work to learn about the area, to learn about all the skills needed and things like that. And then after a while, you will find that you will naturally do better than your colleagues or those or people who are not so interested or motivated. That is a key thing that I actually observe in my work life also. Okay. Lastly, the thing I want to say is that things change fast, in cybersecurity. Actually, in general also, because I think 3 years back, for example, there's no such thing as a social media influencer. But today there's this new job in social media influencer, right? So the thing about jobs is that my advice is that don't become fixated on the job title. Instead, you should focus on the value that your work bring to your employer or to the customer. And let me give you some examples. So in the past, I think it used to be some of the jobs, like I think maybe SAP programmer or Cisco network engineers and things like that. For a period of time, they were quite hot, high demand, high paying, and don't get me wrong, I think there's still a demand for this kind of jobs today. But today, maybe they're not so hot anymore. But the key fundamental skills and the key fundamental knowledge that you learn, that you pick up, which you can transit and bring with you to the next role, these are key things. Okay, next, let me talk about or try to predict what the cybersecurity job will look like in the next 10 or 15 years. But of course, let me give some disclaimer over here, because I think prediction is quite difficult. But hopefully I can give my thoughts on this. Firstly, AI will play a big role. I think there's no big surprise over here. We are seeing the potential and use of AI and machine learning in various aspects of cybersecurity. For example, in automating response, in getting faster response to cyber attacks, in better detection, to look for the needle in a haystack, which is what insider security does. And even in AI cyber attackers, I think we are seeing a trend towards that, where your future cyber attackers will actually use AI in the attacks. That's one. And number two is that I think we are starting to see cyber attacks at wire speeds. Now, what do I mean by wire speeds? That means that the attack actually takes place in milliseconds. It will take place as fast as your network can take place. Milliseconds in seconds. So how will you deal with, imagine you are a cybersecurity engineer in your company. How will you deal with that? How is that even possible? Your 1,000 attacks coming in the past 1 minute. So I think it's 2 years ago or something, we had this WannaCry ransomware, big deal, right? So the thing about WannaCry is that it affected the whole world in a matter of days. Even for COVID-19, in comparison, it took months to affect the whole globe. And of course, COVID-19 is still ongoing. In the case of WannaCry ransomware, it's also quite interesting. The only reason why actually it was stopped was, and it didn't cause as much damage as it did, was that WannaCry has a built-in kill switch. That means actually there was some code in WannaCry that actually allows someone to kill it off. So maybe the designers of WannaCry do have the fear or the foresight to build this kill switch, which was eventually discovered by someone, I think by a cybersecurity researcher who actually made use and exploited this kill switch to kill off the ransomware. Yeah. Okay, 3. Don't be surprised if there may be some oversupply of certain cybersecurity roles. So today I do see demand for things like in pen testing, security assessment, stuff like that. And a lot of courses that I see is also in this, doing pen testing and hacking and stuff like that. And certainly, or this is one example, right? And certainly things like pen testing and all this security assessment is a good expertise to have. But the thing is that, of course, in cybersecurity, I think there are many roles, right? We have roles for maybe a security architect, malware analyst, forensic, cyber forensic, SOC analyst, things like that. So having a skill set in hacking or penetration testing would be a good knowledge to have, even if your job is to be a cybersecurity architect. But I think the concern maybe is that if everyone start having the idea that this is the job to go for, and indeed they are not wrong, because I think jobs for pen testing and security assessment is hot right now, pays very well, right? But if everyone is going to start studying for this, and with the expectation they're going to go to this job later, two or 3 years later, I don't know if we will come out of a situation where there's oversupply, Yeah. So just going with your mind open on this. Okay, 4 is that I think that I predict in cybersecurity, the future cybersecurity professional will have to be quite well acquainted and familiar with data science and AI. Simply because I think that the future cybersecurity software will be adopting or integrating a lot of AI and machine learning inside it. Yeah. So even though today you may be studying a diploma in cybersecurity, I think you probably may want to think about getting some courses and modules in data science as well. Yeah. Okay, lastly, it's really in lifelong learning. And actually, I can't really emphasize this important enough because basically, even for me, I'm seeing new things every year, new kind of cyber attacks. I mean, because attackers are, in general, I think the assumption is that you should think that attackers are smarter than you. They're able to think of weird new ways to attack that you would not think of before. So you have to keep on learning in cybersecurity. And this brings me back to my earlier point, is that why passion is so important. Because if you do not have the interest or the passion in cybersecurity, you'll find it quite difficult to constantly learn all the time. It's like, wow, never learn finish. How come still learning? It's like taking an exam every year. Okay, now let me come to actually probably the most exciting part that most of you may be most interested in. How do you get hired for first job? As a CEO and as an employer, I can share my experiences and what is important for us when we hire. Now, I think that other employers may think differently, but I suspect that most companies probably have the same ideas as well. Okay, so first thing is that I think it's very important when you apply for a job in your resume to be able to demonstrate your interest in the field, in the area, whether it's in cybersecurity or other IT fields. And I mean, this really matters if you're applying for a knowledge job, which almost every good paying job today is all about. Right? It tells the employer, when you show interest, it tells the employer that you will put in the effort to learn and to grow as well. And as I mentioned, cybersecurity is all about learning new things every day, right? And the thing is this, it's not sufficient to just give a lip service and just tell because I've went for many interviews and many applicants will tell me, yeah, I'm very interested in cybersecurity. Wow, now it's a big thing, I'm very interested. So I ask them, okay, so have you done anything to add on this interest? And most of the time, about half the time, I get replies that they have nothing to say. They can't really demonstrate or say anything. It's like if I apply for, it's like to me, it's like that. It's like the applicant, if the applicant apply for a job in data science, then they'll tell the employer that, oh yeah, we're interested in data science. If they apply for a job in insurance, they'll tell the insurer that, yeah, we're interested in insurance. You know, you need to really demonstrate that it's interest to the employer. Okay, the second thing is that while there's a lot of focus in academics and grades, right? I need to say that actually grades is only one of signal that employers will actually use. Now, what do I call a signal? A signal is basically something telling, it's basically information to the employer to help to evaluate the candidate, you know. And to be clear, for us at least, grades is insufficient for us to evaluate you as a candidate, right? And of course, when I go through the resume, grades is indeed one of the first thing I would check. I do that because there are many applicants, and I need a quick way to filter through the resumes. However, grades to me is just a minimum. It's more like minimum requirement. So when I see a person, a candidate with good grades, it tells me, it suggests to me that okay, this person probably is able to learn, you know, smart enough or intelligent enough to learn new things. But even if I see a resume with not so good good grades, I don't cut off this candidate straight away. I also look for other signals, you know, because it could be that this candidate is not so good with exams, but he or she is very good at hacking. You know, he or she going to or very interested in hacking. He or she going to attend all the hackathons and get all the certifications and all the events and things like that. You know, so I also look at other signals as well. You know? Now, the only exception where grades is very important is that maybe for certain specific roles, like software engineering, product engineers, where the key job is on programming or software development, then I need to ensure that in the resume, your course that you study software engineering, you get good grades. If you end up with a fail or D or something like that, actually it's not so good, you know, because I start to worry whether can you do a job. Okay. Another thing I want to say is that employers actually don't really like job portals. No, I don't know if Dutch or Breven has the same thought as I do. You know, no, of course, no. Firstly, to be clear, we use job portals. You know, all the university or poly job portals, all the job street and things like that. But it's not really the most efficient way for us to get new hires. It's not our top choice also. Because you see, hiring is one of the most difficult things to do in business. It's often hit and miss, you know. And even if I do an interview, it's not sufficient. No, it's not insufficient for us to know that you are a good candidate. Even if we hire you, give you an offer, we're still not sure, you know. We're still not sure that whether are you a fit for a company, but we do our best, you know. So actually, the best way that we like to hire is actually through our networks. We ask our people, you know, we ask our staff, our friends, our network, say that if you're looking for this kind of candidate, do you have anyone to recommend? So in fact, this is the best way for us to hire, you know, because when I ask my engineers to refer someone, the engineer will know firstly actually what is the job, you know, because he or she is working in the company, right? Then number two, the engineer will know the candidate very well and be able to quickly assess whether this candidate can fit in, can do a job well, right? So the advice for you is that try to build your networks. You know, try to take part in advanced events and do your networks, build your networks, so that you'll be surprised that your job offer will doesn't come through your job posting, but rather through your friends. Okay, just wrapping up very soon. Okay, also in the resume, I mentioned grades is not important. Now, you also want to show a good portfolio as well. So what do I mean by a good portfolio? That means to be able to show, beside your grades, right? Show things like doing a lot of other things to really impress the employer. So you should have things like some personal hobby projects. Now, things like something you do on cybersecurity, some project, which you can post on GitHub. But of course, some cases I've seen some people, they just post on they have some GitHub account, but all they've done is that they just copy and fork another someone else's project and never do anything additional. Now that is not so good, you know. But if you can really demonstrate something very deep project, actually that's just in cybersecurity, I think that's very good. Technical certifications also will be very helpful, as previously mentioned. Also have if there's quite a number of certifications out there, like OSCP and stuff like that. You know. participating in events, hackathons, and things like that, participating in the internships in related company, and also to do things, to read things that's outside of your school curriculum. I think this is very helpful, to be able to demonstrate to your prospective employer that, hey, actually I'm very interested in this emerging area in cybersecurity. No one taught me in school, but I learned this on my own. Wow, that sends a very strong signal to you, to the employer. And if you look at all these things, there's actually a pattern behind here. The pattern is that it tells the employer that you're really interested in this field. And to be honest, actually, you can't really do all these things if you're not interested, right? Okay, let me just wrap this up. So in summary, don't just go in for the money in cybersecurity, no. Interest, I think, plays a very big role. And things will change fast in cybersecurity. It's a fast-moving field. Always bear in mind, how can you bring value to your customer, to your employer, So I think right now is a wonderful time to be in cybersecurity because there's so many things that's happening. There's so much opportunities. There's still a lot of big problems to be solved in cybersecurity. I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. So next up, we have Mr. Glenn So, who is an intern from the Business Development Department in Athena Dynamics. He has been with the company since November 2020. Over to you, please, Glenn.
Okay, thanks, Christine. Good afternoon to the chairman, my fellow speakers, and the students here. I'm Glenn, an intern from Athena Dynamics. So I'll be going through some of my personal experiences as well as some introduction, like what I've been doing and what I've learned as an intern. So hi, I'm 21 this year, and I've recently OR'd from Army. I've been with Athena Dynamics for the past 6 months, and I've learned a lot of things, which I'm going to share with you in a moment. So I'm actually in the business side of Athena Dynamics, meaning I handle more of the marketing, customer supplier management, and various other stuff like web development and lead generation. I'll be going into more detail in a bit. But first, I'd like to introduce my company. So Athena Dynamics is actually a cybersecurity distributor. So I won't spend too long on this because I want to focus on my experiences. So what we do is we source for overseas, or can be local also, cybersecurity solutions and services, and then we redistribute them into the ASEAN marketplace. We're actually a subsidiary of a bigger company called BH Global, which is it's a reputable maritime company in essence. We also have a lot of, we have customers from both the public and private sector with over 100 customers. So we've got a lot of experience in trying to defend various types of companies, and we've always done it successfully. No incidents yet. So I think as an intern, okay. I think the first thing that I would like to talk about is my observation when I go into the company. So there's actually, I think for most companies it's like that, but so far I've only interned in this one company. So there's a very distinct split between the business and technical side. I'm from the business side, so I'll have more personal experiences with the business side. So basically for the business side, it's much more, there's a lot more socializing, chasing after customers and making sure that, and trying to convince them to buy your stuff. It's more, I would say it's more flexible in terms of timing because you never know when a customer may contact you. And it's a lot more traveling around, trying to meet them and socializing. So if you're someone that enjoys socializing, I guess maybe business is a better, the business side of cybersecurity may be better for you. Whereas technical is more I would say it's more textbook in the sense that it's more you just, you go to a table and you just do your own stuff. And it's more predictable because you don't have to chase customers as much as the business people need to do. So as for the skills required for the different sides, I would say that business is a lot more about managing social expectations and stress management because you need to talk to the customers. Then I'm sure those of you that work at retail will understand that sometimes customers may be a bit difficult to manage. So you need to learn how to manage that. Whereas for technical, it's more what you are, I guess, doing now. It's more about programming and like being meticulous, solving more technical problems. But I think one common factor, one common skill and character that both sides will have is the perseverance. Because like I'll share a bit more but for business, right? Like sometimes when you try to chase a lot of customers, then all of them they won't be very keen to buy a product. That is quite shag but eventually you will succeed if you don't give up. And for technical, it's more like sometimes when there's like a bug or whatever, then you can't solve it, you also cannot give up perseverance. So, but a lot of you're studying more technical side, right? So you may be wondering why I'm talking about business and trying to ask you to do business also. But I think that you should be more open to this idea, because sometimes just because you're learning a technical degree or diploma, it doesn't mean that you can't do business in the future also. Like you can be both, and that's the best kind of employee I've observed, like those kind that are well equipped in both skills. And personally, I feel that someone who studied business degrees and moved on to learn technical things would have a much harder time than someone who started learning technical stuff and then trying to learn business things as they go into the workplace. This is because business skills are mostly soft skills and they are easier to pick up as you observe people and how they do it. Whereas technical, it's much more difficult to pick up because you can't just look at people and see how they do it. You really need to go and study, and it's tough, as I'm sure most of you will know. So now I'll just go through about more detailed experiences for me. So one of my responsibilities is project and pre-sales coordination. Basically, I need to ensure that the expectations of the customers and the suppliers are met as we are a distributor. And you need to ensure that in the end, everyone is happy so that your reputation stays great and they'll buy from you again, that kind of thing. So we also do a lot of cold calls or emails. This is a very textbook business thing. I need to reach out to potential customers, and it is honestly quite tiring, but it's quite fulfilling as well when you succeed. Basically, the picture here is actually a censored Excel table, but there's a lot of information there that I can't show you, so I just censored it. But basically, it's I took quite a lot of time and went to research about different companies and potential customers, and I put the information there, and I'll slowly email one by one all the companies and try to convince them to buy our stuff, which can be very tiring because it's not like I make one email that I send to all 100 companies. I really curate and cater each email to a specific company because each company requires different kinds of products and services. And while sometimes you may send 100 emails and you may only get one reply, but even if you just succeed one time, right, the feeling is good. So yes. I also did a lot of marketing and creation of posters. So this is a very interny thing. I'm pretty sure that those of you that already done your interns did something similar to this. I guess for me, it just helped. It helped me become more, improve my aesthetics when it comes to this kind of things. And I'm sure these skills can be used for the future, like uni or in my future workplace. I also did web development, which I helped revamp the website for my company's website, and I made it a lot more readable. There's a QR code there to scan if you want to check out my company's website. I just made it look nicer, and it's a very good skill that I picked up because I think that now, because the future is all about tech and stuff, right? It's definitely web development is definitely a website that can web development is definitely a skill that will be relevant in the future, and it's a skill that's in very high demand. So far what I've learned from this internship. So actually my company isn't the biggest company out there. I would say it's kind of like an SME, and there's this misconception around that people just want to go into big companies so that they can learn as much as possible. And if they if they join a smaller company, they won't learn as much. But I think that this is a very wrong mindset. Because I'm not saying it always happens, but I've heard stories about my friends going to big companies and they just kind of get thrown there and neglected because there's so many people and they're doing so many things, so they don't get as much attention. Whereas for smaller companies, I've heard a lot of my friends, and myself included, we are much more involved in the day-to-day activities, the implementation of projects. And I feel that this is a lot more beneficial to us as we are really on the ground learning stuff and doing stuff every day. And and I would like to say that you also should be afraid to try new things in your internship. And I think some of you haven't done your internship yet, right? So personally, I feel internship is just a platform for us to just really try and experiment to see what we like. And because sometimes like when we choose our jobs in the future, if we didn't do this internship, right, we wouldn't know what we like and what we don't like. So personally, like for this internship, I really went to try a lot of different things, and I figured out what I like and don't like lah. So personally, I realized that I can't just sit at a desk and just stay at the desk all day lah. I would rather meet customers and go out and like talk to them. To me, it's a lot more fun lah. But of course, it varies from person to person. So I think being open-minded and trying to just try everything during your internship is one thing that you should definitely do. And also you should take initiatives to lead projects. Because sometimes like maybe your superiors, they may not want to give you so much, even if you're capable of doing so, because they don't want to like scare you, or like they don't want to make sure that, or like they want to make sure that they don't stress you lah. But if you can, right, you just try to push for more responsibilities and push for more leadership roles lah. Because one, it's not only good for your portfolio, but two, it also gives you the experiences, and it will definitely help you in your future jobs. So that's about it for my experiences. Thank you so much. Over to you, Christine.
Thank you, Glenn. Moving on to our last segment for the day, let us welcome all the speakers for the Q&A and lucky draw session. Dutch will be facilitating this session. Over to you, Dutch.
Thank you, Christine. I think I'm back here again. Okay, great. Now I want to just share with you, everyone, I think we have about over 200 students here who are attending this webinar. Just pose a question. I'll give you some time. Meanwhile, let me just warm up these some of the questions to be asked to these three speakers. Okay, I think we have one of the questions was I think addressed mostly to these Jonathan. Maybe Jonathan, you want to speak it up? What do you see are the cybersecurity job with most demand?
I think there are three main kinds of jobs that I see today. They are in demand. One is actually jobs in as a white hat, which is basically a penetration testing, security assessment. That's one. Number two is actually as a SOC analyst. Basically it's SOC stands for Security Operations Center. So it's a 24/7 center, and basically it's a shift work. And then they need analysts to actually manage all the solutions and take care of the network and the infrastructure. That's two. Then number three, actually, I am seeing quite a lot more jobs for things more of a management side. That means actually looking for security architect, CISOs, information security manager, and things like that. But of course, I think for number three is actually more for more experienced people. So I think for fresh grad it would be quite difficult. Yeah. But actually, I think this may be the case today. But I think going forward, we never know. Next year it may change quite a fair bit. Yeah.
Thanks, Jonathan. I think you have addressed these questions. Maybe I want to ask one question to Glenn, right? Glenn, since you're interns, you share a lot of experience of being an intern is one of the SME company. And is there anything that you regret being an intern of this company?
I wouldn't really say I regret lah, but because personally, like the COVID situation has made it a lot more difficult to actually maximize what I could learn. So what I mean is that, like, if it weren't for COVID, right, I could have gone and like meet more customers, or be on the ground and actually do stuff lah. So I guess one regret I have is that I didn't push hard enough for more of these kinds of opportunities when I had a chance when there wasn't COVID lah. I mean, I did lah, but I felt like I could have done more lah. Yeah.
Okay, keep it on.
Yeah,
right? COVID will be over pretty soon. Okay, I have one. This Edwin was posting these questions, right? What certification will be recommended? The complete beginner to cybersecurity, and have only started learning since joining Nanyang Poly. He's a Nanyang Poly student. Currently only have a CEH, or maybe I'm not sure what CEH. Okay, maybe I just want to put it, any certification to recommend from a beginner to being a cybersecurity engineer or cybersecurity profession. Maybe I just give it to Brevin. Brevin, you're in this area.
Thanks, Dutch. And let me answer. CEH is basically a certified ethical hacker.
Okay.
Yes, that's right. And I have to know it because this is one of the certificates that I represented for the market. So I'm sure relating to certifications, I think what I would like to do is because there is a whole series of certification that targeted on different specialization of skill set, and taking lead from what Jonathan has shared earlier in terms of the three main roles that the industry is highly sought after. So I would say on the white hat hacker, definitely starting with CEH is a good start. Moving on, there are a couple of other certifications which pretty accepted in the market. One of them is what Jonathan have mentioned, OSCP. And an alternative to that is definitely what EC Council has also, which is the new certified pen tester. In short, we call it CPEN. But nonetheless, either one that you have, you are going after, CEH actually form already a good foundations for you. So I believe this question comes from Edwin. And so to answer your question, Edwin, number one, I think you already has a very good foundations with what you have learned from Nanyang Poly as well as CEH. So moving forward, OSCP and CPEN could be your next options. And that would lead you into the skill set to get you prepared for the white hacker, which is generally the pen testing role for the industry, which what Jonathan has earlier mentioned that is also very hot right now. So on the other hand, of course, if you're talking about SOC, so I think that's very different specializations. But nonetheless, there again, CEH again form a very good foundation skill for you to move into SOC analyst. And there wasn't a lot of specialized certification for SOC, but again, I would like to say that EC Council does have a SOC analyst certifications, which you could consider as one of the options if you're looking at SOC as a potential career. And other than that, there are a couple of other management level cybersecurity certifications as you start progressing your career. Like what Jonathan again mentioned, that is the next hotter group of a role or job you may have is towards the management level already, right? So then by then there's really a couple of them that is quite prominent, like CISM, CISA, CISSP, which is quite a good management level foundation certification that you can attain in your subsequent planning for your certification upgrading. So so I hope that gives you a summary of overall that you could explore into, Edwin.
Thanks, Brevin. I think these too many acronyms right now flying around, and then thank you for this answer. I believe Edwin will be able to pick it up on his next step of his certification. Okay, I have another question from Zivan. Zivan was, I think I will address it to Glenn's. So what can intern learn when trying to gain work experience from this industry? Will it require them to be on their feet, or will there be a guidance?
As in, you're asking if there's there'll be guidance from our superiors, or?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Oh yeah, there'll definitely be guidance from your superiors, especially if you're if it's your first time working at a cybersecurity company, they'll know that it's your first time, so they'll definitely help you out, especially if you're unfamiliar with stuff. Because I've heard a lot that from what you learn in school and what you actually do in these companies, right, is very different. So since it's so different, they'll definitely help you out, and they'll understand also, because they were once students also.
Okay. Oh, this one I think I can address it to Jonathan. Jonathan, Rivik, I have a question here. Could you tell me which country has the brightest cybersecurity field in terms of job I think during your slide, I think you mentioned 2 countries. Okay, maybe you want to elaborate more.
Okay, so my answer to this is that I think it's actually more important to. It doesn't really matter which country, actually, honestly. I mean, yes, I mean, certain countries like US and Israel have a reputation for cybersecurity companies and things like that. But in terms of job market, I think every country, especially Singapore, I think there is a high demand for cybersecurity professionals. And I think there's a very good career prospect in Singapore for cybersecurity. Yeah.
Yeah, John, I think I fully agree with you with this. With cybersecurity landscape and how the government is supporting it to secure the whole country, I believe that there's a lot of job requirement and opportunity out there to embrace this cybersecurity. Yeah. So Rivik, don't worry, Singapore is a solid one. Another question from Rivik, okay? Mentioned that I think I will address it to Brandon, since you're in this. Which university is the best university for cybersecurity? I believe this Google will tell you. Every year is different.
Yeah, indeed. I was supposed that I will follow a similar track that what Jonathan has mentioned. All right. I think it is also a similar question, not only for cybersecurity, and for any student who go into any industry or any discipline, they will always look at university that has scored very well in their graduates in that particular industry. And generally, year after year, of course, the university differs slightly, but nonetheless, as long as you hold qualifications from one of these recognized university, especially, of course, local university, every one of them is popular. If you talk about overseas universities, then I believe that most common you will look at Australia, UK, or US. And out of these 3 countries, I suppose you could easily do your research on Google on the ranking, and that will be the best information pool you could look at, because I believe after looking at the recognitions, next you will look at how much it costs, right? And what is the option of study? Will you be studying in Singapore, or will you be doing it online, or will you be traveling overseas? And of course, that kind of consideration become very critical right now in terms of the pandemics that we are going through, right? So I don't think I have an immediate answer for you, but if you are doing it locally, the local university would probably be your top choice, because you are already in the top university in the world, all right, on that selections. Otherwise, then you probably have to do a little bit homework online, but they are all pretty reliable source actually.
Thanks, Raymond. I think you answered it well. I have another question popping up on my screen. Is Dashni, okay, was saying that what will your advice be for someone who is interested in multiple areas in cybersecurity? I think Jonathan will be able to read that, because you're talking about interest just now. Don't go for money, blah, blah, blah. Okay, John, pass it to you.
Yeah. Okay, first, Dash, I'm not saying don't go for money. I think money is important, but just don't be your main guiding principle. Yeah. Okay, so I think it's great that if you have interest in multiple areas in cybersecurity, and I think just go for it. I think because at this stage in your life, you don't really have to say that, oh, I'm going to specialize in cyber forensics. I'm going to specialize in pen testing and things like that. Just try it out and see where it leads you. Because a lot of knowledge and skill sets in cybersecurity, they are fundamental knowledge. So once you, let's say, become very good in forensics or become very good in pen testing, initially you also get some pretty good competencies in other areas, maybe in security architect and things like that. Yeah. So don't have to worry too much about that.
So Destiny, don't need to worry too much. Hope you are there online. It's good that this student is calling in all this question. Next question is, what are the things that you realized recently that you wished you would have known when you first started? I sort of not so understand the questions, but we come back to this later. Why not we go to the next one from Ron? Will you recommend going into the cybersecurity NSF scheme when enlisting. Glenn, I think you are ORD, right?
Yeah, just ORD.
Or maybe you just give your own experience. I think it's very personal choice. I think John also from this defense side, and then Glenn, you are just ORD. I think it's good that Glenn, maybe you share your experience first.
Okay, honestly, right, I didn't go for that scheme, so I can't give a very accurate answer. But I've seen those people, I've seen the cybersecurity people, and I mean, from what I know, their life like quite good, So if you want to have a good NS life, you can go join them also. But honestly, I really don't know much about it. I know that if you join the scheme, like you need to sign on, so you need to stay there for like 5 years. Like, you need to serve for 5 years or something like that minimum. But that's just all I know. I'm not very aware of the terms and conditions.
John, you want to?
Yes, okay. This is something actually quite close to my heart. And actually, Glenn, I don't think it's signed for 5 years. I don't think they're so draconian. But maybe
4 years.
Actually, I'm not sure, but I think maybe it's something along the line that maybe they expect you to do some reservists or something like that. But I tell you, it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. So what Singapore is trying to do is that they're trying to do something what Israel is doing also for many years. So in Israel, the reason why they gain reputation in cybersecurity companies is that because they're always at war, it's an area of conflict. So Israel actually started to train their soldiers in cybersecurity, and from this cohort of NS folks, or their equivalent of national service, these people go on to start companies, go on to become captains of industry in cybersecurity. So if you're given a chance to be inside this NSF or cyber scheme, go for it. It's definitely worthwhile. It's the best kind of training you can get. And may I just add one more thing? Because the kind of training you get over there, right, is that you're doing with state actors. These are very severe threat environment. The kind of training you get over there, you probably can't get outside in private sector. It's definitely worth it if you can get inside. Yeah.
Okay. I think here, right, I think government is pouring a lot of resources in as well, okay, to brief up all these security. So I think it's good that you can consider as one of your next step for your career. So, okay, I got Isha. Isha said, how can a student best secure an internship at an organization of their choice? Okay, maybe this one I can take this answer. I think it's the best thing to approach your school or your lecturer who is in charge of internship. Definitely that just now I mentioned in my earlier slide, SGTech have a portal called the techtalent.sg. You can submit your interest and you can check from this portal and register yourself what organization and internship program that SGTech can offer. I think this area you can facilitate. SGTech can facilitate this portal for you. Okay, any more questions? Please tap your question in the Q&A box. If not, I would like to thank all these speakers, especially your time and your effort prepare all the slides for the students to understand what is the market, the interest, especially we have interns here to share their experience, and also the certification that Brandon has shared, what is the next step, what step to take. And definitely on Jonathan. Jonathan is sharing even his life of career, how he started and how he set up a company. He started as an engineer that is not in cyber. And after that, he really find an interest and he started his own company and then he grew until today. I think this is a fantastic testimony for those who really are entrepreneurship that you want to go forward. I think you can learn from John here. For those who are just opening up your eyes and what next, I think you can get Glenn to have more information as interns, what he learned from this company for just short 6 months. I think you can get a lot of experience that what a textbook not allowed to share or to get experience from. And from certification for your improvement for your next step. And I think Brandon is a good insight that he can share with you what are the planning for the next certification that you need, especially when you go for management level, CISP, or this area that you can opt for. So thank you for all the speakers. And maybe before I just want to share a view on my side. And I was, my co-chair said that, Dutch, why not you also share your part a little bit before we go to the lucky draw. Allow me, I got only 6 short slides. I did prepare in my 2019 when I go for these 3 polytechnic. Just, it's nothing to do about cybersecurity. I started a company, I was like John, when I was finished my studies, I went to a very small SME because I say that money is not an issue. I just want to learn. During that time, when I was about 20 over years, the cybersecurity is not really in the radar screen for that, but I believe so. And I learned everything from a very small SME. And then after that, Citibank hired me to in charge of 14 countries in the regional aspect. I joined Citibank for about 4 years plus. And I left the bank, I set up the company called iSpring Innovation. And we designed software, and later part, today 150 global banking system is using us. And I have 13 offices around Asia Pacific. So what this drives me that I want to share a little bit, I have a very short slide. Some of those in the 2019 when I was sharing is similar. Okay, start from myself when I was 16 years old. Okay, my strong belief into goals, or my own goals when I started this. My mom and dad want me to be a lawyer or a doctor. I think these are very, very common questions or dreams that those parents want their kids to be. But I believe my own goals. What is my goals, right? I just being strong, being big. No, I start with my little hobby. Determination and willpower. This is my age is about 20 over years. And like your age in the police, this is my back in my 16 years old, okay? And this is around after 2.5 years, okay, time. And then this is nearly like going for my competition very soon. Okay, I beef up myself. This is my 16 to 19 years old. So do I achieve it? I don't know. This is a very old picture that I scanned for myself. I went to the National recruit me as a Singapore national bodybuilder. So I was glad. I never take part in any smaller scale. I step up as my national bodybuilder career. So I went into the competition in 1994 when I was 19. I went to the juniors. I competed. I went to the top 3. And then I was in the open as well because the recommendation by the Bodybuilding Federation, they said that, no, Dutch, I think you have very strong potential and you should go for the open. I was in the top 3, okay? So what this drive me in my side, and then how I drive myself from my bodybuilding career, I'm thinking, I think I need to start out a company as an entrepreneur. So what's in it, what I learned from it? First, understanding what I remember by heart. You cannot climb the ladder of success or be a champion with your hands in your pockets. I never believed this. And hope you guys, as a student today, I hope that this message can bring into you. If it's an easy task, it's not my job. When Glenn was sharing about his calling a cold call one by one, it's a tough job. I believe that he said that if I get one deal, I'm very, very happy. If it's easy, go and sell iPhone. iPhone easy to sell. Are you an iPhone seller or are you a phone seller? Easy to sell. But I tell myself, if this is easy, it's not my job. So tell yourself that we are here to make big things. Always think that. Like John, right? When picking up cybersecurity or do something big, why only US and Israel? Singapore maybe one day is a very big dot in our internal cybersecurity, and we come here and solve problems. So rule of success. I always believe this after so many years. Rule of success will keep on moving it. I run this company nearly 21 years and bring up to this stage. Believe in yourself, find your interest, trust yourself deep in your heart. When people tell you that it cannot be lah, you cannot do it lah, this is all no way. You just believe yourself. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to be. And next, break some rules. Don't always say by right cannot by left. What is by left? Sometimes you think out of the box. Not say 1 + 1 is 2. 1 + 1 maybe is 3. How to motivate yourself? How to break something that you think out of the box to work something out for the good. Don't be afraid to fail. Okay, every failure is a step of success, right? So learn from mistake, gain your experience. That's what Glenn's going as he interns, right? He gained a lot of experience based on this SME, whatever he can learn. Ignore the naysayer. Naysayer is a negative energy. A lot of people beside you, you cannot make it. I can tell you, many type of form, many type of imagination. When you want to do something will pull you back. Never. Because you go back to your first point, believe in yourself first, that you want to strive. Nothing is easy. Work like hell. Okay? Put your effort in, be prepared, and make effort. Talk easy, right? But this is the way to go. Next is the last thing, that give something back to the society. Okay? To be a giver, share, and to contribute. That's what today, right? You can see the speaker today. We make our own time. We have a few dry runs. We have a few slides. We integrate together. Make sure that we can inspire you guys in this cybersecurity field. Don't give up. Believe that this cybersecurity will bring you for a better career. So this is what we are today, to give back to society, to share with you what the industry is happening, so that you will know, you open up your eyes and see what needs to be. That's all I have. So I think it's time for lucky draw. If you have any question, you can let me know. So I think that this time right now, I pass it back to Christine. Christine, I think now it's time for, back to you.
Thank you, Dutch. All right. Now we have come to the lucky draw segment that everyone is looking forward to. So who is the lucky one to get the original Applebee's wireless headphone? So I need everyone to follow the instruction very carefully. Okay, so in order to win, everyone will need to follow this. Click onto the chat box. So everyone please try out. Click onto the chat box. Select all panelists and attendees. This is the chat box. And then you choose all panelists and attendees. There are two options. One is to all panelists only, and the other one is all panelists and attendees. So please select these all panelists and attendees. So later on, what you need to do is to type in your answer here and to press enter. So the first person who send in the correct answer in the panelists and attendees chat box will be the winner. Later on, Dutch will be the one announcing the winner. Okay, so before I flash the question, I'll give everyone about 10 to 15 seconds to get this ready. So locate the chat box. This is right at the bottom.
Hold on, Christina. I think
Yes.
some messages was popping out, say cannot send to panelists and attendees, only to all panelists.
Okay. Somsia, are you able to help to?
Yep, actually, I think we can go ahead with the all panelists.
Okay.
Okay, sure. Thanks.
Because on our end, we'll still be able to see it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so kindly ignore this part. It's okay that to send to all panelists. Then later on, we will announce the winner. So get ready. So select this chat box to all panelists. So later on, once I flash the question, there will be three options for the answer: A, B, or C. So you can stand by to click A, B, or C. So as soon as I flash the question, you can just send in the correct answer. Then Dutch will announce the winner. Okay, I will give everyone a while.
Yeah, so I give them about 30 seconds to get ready.
Okay, 30 seconds to get ready. And later on, once I say 1, 2, 3 and flash, then we'll see who is the first one that sent in the correct answer, the fastest and the correct one after I flash the question. So anything that comes in now will not count. Okay? All right, now get ready. Another 5 more seconds, and I will flash the question. Okay, we are getting some comments in. Okay, Bradley, I can see your comment okay. So previously there was someone who tried to answer randomly, so that will not count. Okay, so later on, once I flash the question, then when the fastest one that key in the correct answer, then will count. Okay, now 1, 2, 3.
Then I'll let you run first. I think there's a lot of keying in right now. So let him run first until we're done. So we need to scroll up. We need to scroll up later on.
Yeah. So later Dutch will do the announcement. So the question, if you do well in your cybersecurity studies, there is a very good chance that you will A, have no future, B, have promising career opportunities, C, regret. So the answer is very obvious.
Oh, it's really, I need to scroll all the way up.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
All right. So
okay, it's 1A. I don't know from which school. In later part, we will connect you. The last name should be Chu, C-H-U. Okay, I believe a lot of attendee right now is CHU. The first name is Zhang Rong. Chu Zhang Rong. Congratulations to you. You got a Beat Apple these wireless earphone. It's very nice. I have one of these. Solid base. Congratulations. And Song Jie, just in record, is Chua Zhang Rong, C-H-U.
Chu Zhang Rong. Yeah.
Rong. Z.
Okay, got it. I'll reach out to him separately.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks.
you.
Okay, now I pass it back to Christine. Thank you guys for joining us, and you have a great day. And thank all the panelists and the sponsor.
Okay, thank you very much, all the speakers, for sharing the interesting and insightful sharing. So hope that all the students have benefited from all these sharing. And now you have a clearer idea on your career choices for future. So good luck to everyone, and hope to see you in future after you enter into the cybersecurity industry. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Maybe panelists, we can stay panelists.